In this video, I will show you how to write the equation of a line given kind of a variety of information. So first, let's find the equation of a line that passes through 2 points. In order to find the equation of a line, there are two main things that we need, and that is the slope, and then later we will need the y-intercept. Once I have these two things, I can go ahead and write the equation. The equation is always going to be in the form y equals mx plus b, so that means we're looking for the we're looking for the m, and we're looking for the b. And we'll just fill those in when we find them. So first we need to find the slope. Okay, so the slope, let me write this kind of off to the side somewhere. The equation for the slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's how you find the slope when you're given 2 points. So in this case, y2 minus y1. So we're talking about negative 10 minus negative 1, but when you subtract a negative, you actually add. So it's going to be negative 10 plus 1, because minus negative 1 is the same thing as plus 1. Now, x minus x, so that'll be 2 minus 8. So this will give me the slope. So I'm going to have negative 9 over negative 6. And this is going to reduce down to 3 over 2. Positive 3 over 2. So this is the slope. All right, that means I will have 3 over 2 right here in this box. So the only thing I need to find now is the b value, the y-intercept. And that's what we're going to do right here. In the back of our minds, we will be using the model y equals mx plus b. So we're looking for the b part at the end. This is what we're looking for. That means we need to substitute everything else. We need a y, m, and x. Well, there's m right there. So we just need an x and a y. So you really can pick either one of these 2 points. I'm going to pick this one, and this is x, and this is y. So that means in for y goes negative 1, so I'll have negative 1 equals. Next up is m, that is 3 over 2. And then next is x, which is 8, plus b. So I know that 2 goes into 8 4 times, and 4 times 3 is 12. So that's going to be negative 1 is equal to 12 plus b. If you're unable to kind of do that work in your head, then you can use a calculator. So 3 over 2 times 8. All right, so you can do it that way if you need to. So now we just need to get b by itself, so we will subtract 12 from both sides, and that gives us negative 13. And that's all we needed. So the b value is negative 13, that goes here. Now for your final answer, we don't want plus a negative. We're just going to put minus. So our final answer will be y equals 3 over 2x minus 13. All right, let's move on. Now we want to find the equation of a line that is parallel to this line and goes through this point. So whenever I see the word parallel, I think to myself, oh, that'll be the same slope. And specifically, the slope is right here. Parallel lines do not have the same y-intercept. only the slope. So I'm going to ignore the negative 10 completely. The rest of the problem is going to be exactly like what I just did on the previous problem. So I'm going to do the slope, and then I'll do the y-intercept, and then I will write the equation. And my equation will be like y equals something x plus something. All right, so as I already explained, parallel lines have the same slope, so the slope will be 2 over 3. To find the y-intercept, I'm using the idea that y equals mx plus b, just like before. Remember the y equals mx plus b. So this is my x and this is my y. So the y is -4, so I have -4 equals, now it's time for m, which is 2/3. And now it's time for x, which is 12. And then plus b, which is what we're looking for. 3 goes into 12 4 times. 4 times 2 is 8. So I know it's going to be -4 is equal to 8 plus b. Again, if that is difficult for you, use a calculator. 2/3 times 12, you can just type it in. 2 over 3 times 12. So that is 8. And then subtract 8 from both sides, and that is -12. So look, now we have the slope and we have the y-intercept. The slope is 2/3, so that's going to go right here. The y-intercept is -12, so that goes here. Please do not put plus -12. Just write -12. So it'll be 2/3 x minus 12. This will be the final answer. All right, again, notice that the y-intercept is -12, not -10. Okay, write the equation of a line that goes through these 2 points. All right, now watch out. There's something that jumps out at me when I glance at these 2 points. Do you see how 2 of the numbers repeat? Okay, see the -4 and the -4? Watch out for that. When the numbers repeat, if they have either the same x value or the same y value, that means that they are either horizontal or vertical. Okay, so I feel like we need to have a little discussion off to the side for a second. Okay, let's talk about horizontal and vertical lines for a second. Let's make a little chart. All right, on this side, we will have the concept of horizontal. On this side, we will have the concept of vertical. Okay, first of all, what do they look like? Horizontal looks like this. All right, whereas vertical looks like this. Okay, now let's talk about slope. Horizontal lines have slope 0, whereas vertical lines have slope undefined. Or sometimes they say no slope. Now, what will this look like in calculations? Here is an example. Say if I were doing a problem and I came out with, let's say I had 5 minus 5 over 4 minus 3. Well, this would be 0 over 1, which equals 0, all right? And we're talking about the slope. Okay, so this is 0, and we already said that horizontal lines have slope 0. So if you ever see this, if you ever see 0 in the numerator, that means you have a horizontal line and the slope is 0. Okay, On the other hand, here's another example. It's just an example. Say if I had, so I'm doing the slope and I have 4 minus 3 over 5 minus 5. Well, that's going to be 1 over 0. And this is undefined. So if you're ever doing this and you see a 0 in the denominator, that's undefined. That means you have a vertical line. Now, there's one other thing you need to know. Horizontal lines have equations like this. Y equals a number. So there'll be equations like y equals 3 or y equals 2. Vertical lines have equations like this. X equals a number. Okay? So, alert. We already know that this is going to turn out to either be a horizontal line or a vertical line. Okay? So, let's say that you just blindly went to find the slope the way we always do. So the first thing you would do, we're doing y minus y over x minus x, right? So we're doing y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that's going to give you 6 minus 2 over negative 4 minus negative 4. See how they're the same? So that's going to be negative 4 plus 4, because minus and negative you add. So that's going to give us a slope of 4 over 0. All right, remember when we talked about this? If you get 0 in the denominator, you can't divide by 0. That is undefined. Undefined. Okay, that means that we are dealing with a vertical line. Okay, that means that the equation is going to be of the form x equals something. All right, x equals some number. And what will the number be? Well, notice how we have the x value repeated. All right, the x is negative 4. That's it. That is the number. So that would be the answer. So watch out for these special cases, vertical lines and horizontal lines. Okay. Now, write the equation of the line that goes through this point and is perpendicular to the line that is graphed here. All right, when I see the word perpendicular, here's what pops into my head. The slope is opposite and reciprocal. Okay, that's the phrase we always use whenever you see perpendicular. The slope is opposite and reciprocal. So let's start by identifying the slope of this line right here. All right, I think I'm going to zoom in on it. So when we're talking slope, we're talking rise over run. Okay, so let's see. Here are 2 points on the line. I'm going down 1 over 2. So I definitely have some kind of a 1 and some kind of a 2. Okay, rise over run. Now, what I like to do is just look at the graph as a whole. Because it is going downhill from left to right, I know the slope is negative. So this is a negative 1/2. Some students like to go, well, I went down and right. So that is negative and positive. And that's fine. Either way, you're going to get a slope of negative 1/2. Okay, so fine. That is the slope of this line. But the slope of a perpendicular line will be opposite and reciprocal. So when we do our work, okay, all right, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So now I'm going to do the same thing we did a couple problems ago. All right, I need the slope and I need the y-intercept. So that I can write the equation. Okay, and the equation will always be y equals something x plus something. All right, because that's how the equation of a line works. So let's start with the slope. The slope of this line is -1/2. But the equation I want is going to be perpendicular to it. So the slope will not be -1/2. It has to be opposite and reciprocal. Reciprocal means you turn it upside down. So for example, if I had 2/3, the reciprocal would be 3/2. All right, that's what reciprocal means. If I have 1/2, the reciprocal is 2/1, which really is just 2. I'll do that in a minute. Now, what do they mean by opposite? All right, we said the slope is opposite and reciprocal. So we've done reciprocal so far. 1/2 became 2/1. Opposite means that the sign changes. If it was negative, now it will be positive. If it was positive, now it will be negative. All right, so this is -1/2. So the slope we're going to use will be positive 2/1. Or more simply, the slope is 2. Okay, so the slope is 2. And that's going to go right here. Now, remember, we are not finding the equation of this line. We're finding the equation of some perpendicular line that goes through this point. So don't think that the y-intercept will be 2 as well because of that point right there. We need to go through the rest of the process. So remember how we always use y equals mx plus b. And now look, the x and y will be taken from this point. So let's start with y. So we will start with -10. Next comes m, which is 2. Next is x, which is 4. And then plus b. Y equals mx plus b. So I'll have -10 equals 8 plus b. And then we simply subtract 8 from both sides. And that is -18. So b is -18. So that's why I will have -18 right here. And this is the answer, but don't put plus -18, just put -18. So the final answer will be y equals 2x minus 18. All right, and that is it. All right, that's going to do it for this video.